Good morning. Sorry if you hear little footprints in the background. That would be Rocky or Wrigley. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get this lesson done. We are going to evaluate with graphs. First and foremost, and we already know this, but function notation. F of x means to find y when x equals a certain number. So when evaluating a function using a graph, we find the value of y when x equals that specified value. So first of all, when we look at the graph, I think it helps, especially since this is in black and white, to highlight which one is which graph. So this is our f of x graph, and this is our g of x graph. Okay, and so what we do, how we approach this problem, is we say, first of all, were we given the x or were we given the y? So in this case, we were given the x, we need to find y. So how we do that is we go to where x equals -3, which would be right here. And then we go to the g of x function, which is that purplish color. So we go down, g of -3. Where do I hit my graph? I hit it when y equals -6. I know sometimes the quadratic ones can be difficult to see. So just a little friendly reminder that quadratics are graphed with the whole 1A, 3A, 5A pattern. So if I start up here, 1A, 3A, and then 5A. And that way you can see where we got the -6 from. All right, so then the next example is f of 5. So once again, the biggest question you need to ask yourself is if you were given x or y. In this case, I was given x. So I go to where x equals 5. But this time, I'm going to go up to the green graph. Sorry, there's x equals 5. I'm going to go up to the green graph, and that is going to be when y equals 9. Okay. Now the next example is g plus f of 2, which essentially what that is saying is g of 2 plus f of 2. So once again, I go to where x equals 2, which is right here. I go down to g, which is going to be -1. And then I do the same thing, but this time I go up to the green graph, and that's going to be 6. So my answer is 5. Okay. All right, why don't you go ahead and pause the video, and then once you're done pausing the video, 4, 5, and 6, you will see the answers first. So go ahead and try those on your own, and then when you're done trying them on, check your work. Okay, go ahead and pause. Okay, hopefully you knocked those 3 problems out of the ballpark. And if you didn't, go ahead and take a look at the work. And if you still have questions on it, don't be afraid to ask one of your neighbors. All right, so the last type of problem we need to talk about is composition problems. So f of g of 3. Remember to always start with the innermost function, which would be g of 3. It's the one closest to the number to the x. So we go to our graph and we go to find where x equals 3. And we're going to go down to g, which is going to be -6. So let's go ahead and write that down. G of 3 equals -6. And then what we do is we take that -6 and we plug it in to f. So remember, I draw a little arrow, and I then do f of -6. So I go to where x equals -6. I go to the green graph because that's one that's f, and this equals -2. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do the last one. So the innermost function is going to be f of -4, so let's do that one first. So f of -4 looks like it's going to equal 0. It's right here. And then we do g of 0, and g of 0 is going to equal 3. Okay, so once again, all we did was we took that 0 and plug it in to the next function. And then the last question on this page says, where do f of x and g of x intersect? And as you can see from the graph, this one, they never intersect, so nowhere. All right, that's the first page of notes. Let's go ahead on to the second page. Okay, so this is actually the same exact thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip to number 4. If you want to try these later on your own, these will be 5. G of 5 would be 7. And then this would be f of 6 plus g of 6. Okay. And that would be, f of 6 would be 9 plus, oh, sorry, I did that backwards. Hold on. It would be -9 plus 9, which gives you 0. Okay. It helps if you, like I said before, if you highlight your function so you know which one is which, and you don't confuse the two like I just did a second ago. All right, so let's do g minus f of 3. So that's g of 3 minus f of 3. So g of 3, that is the green function. So here's 3. That's going to be 3 minus a -6. And that gives me 9. All right. Go ahead, and if you want to, I'm going to do the next two without talking through them. So if you want to pause the video and then check your answers afterwards, go ahead and do that now. Okay, here's what you should have gotten for both of your answers. Just be careful with these graphs, especially because they cross over each other, that you stay with the correct graph. And I'm sure some of you are probably wondering, do I need to write this first line out? No, you don't. I just think it helps when you're learning it, especially with the composition function. So speaking of which, let's go ahead and do the composition functions. So f of g of 2, so let's start with the innermost function. That's going to be of g of 2. And g of 2, we go to x equals 2, and that's going to be 1. So then we take that 1 and plug it into f. And if you didn't hear, Rocky just joined us. So f of f of 1, Rocky, f of 1 is going to be -4. Okay, so where did I get that from? Here's where x equals 1, go down to f, that's going to be -4. All right, why don't you guys try 8 and 9 on your own and then check your answers. So go ahead and pause the video. Okay, here's what you should have gotten for both of your answers. So for 8, the answer would have been -1. And then for the last one, notice that there's 2 points of intersection, so make sure that you guys list them both and make sure you list them as ordered pairs. Hope you have a great day and you have the rest of the time to work on your homework. Thank you. Rocky and I both say bye.